I'm going to be talking about an unpleasant subject, and I'm going to be using avoidance words. I just want you to know that. All right, and I'm going to start with an article from the BBC website. Now, I just want to point out to you that the BBC is the organisation that hid the Jimmy Savile scandal for years and years and years because he was making them too much money. And they were all in on it and they all knew what he was doing. And that is why I'm talking about it now, because the BBC knew what Jimmy Savile was doing. Now I'm going to talk about another group of people who must have known what was going on. And this is an article, a very sympathetic article that's on the BBC website. Rotherham's Asian communities on grooming scandals impact. So this is the impact of the truth coming out on the Asian communities in this particular case in Rotherham. But it's coming out in, I'm going to be talking about something that's happened in Oldham recently as well. So, but it's all the same. Anyway, this is the BBC article. Asians in Rotherham say since a 2014 report said child exploitation in the town was carried out predominantly by men of Pakistani heritage, the whole community has been stigmatised. So let's think about this. You know, if it had been one or two of their number, there'd be absolutely no justification for a whole community to be stigmatised. But when it's going on, or has been going on, wholesale for years, and it's not possible for most of the people in a close-knit community like that not to have known that there was something going on. It's just impossible. And so somebody must have known, and then I ask, who were the whistleblowers? Well, not one of them was from within those communities. So yes, they deserve to be stigmatised, not because they were doing anything, but because they were complicit. They were keeping quiet. They knew something terrible was happening and they just shut up. And they just have to bloody work hard to correct the situation, won't they? They shouldn't be thinking, well, we've been stigmatised by the action of some people that we knew they were acting badly, but we didn't say anything. And we've been stigmatised, so destigmatise us. Come on, you know, give. No. It's up to them to earn the destigmatisation now. Anyway, yeah. Gym owner and former taxi driver Saif Din said, "We went from being known as just a terrorist, but now you're a terrorist and a groomer." I don't suppose I should be laughing, should I? Abrar Javid, project manager at the Rotherham Muslim Community Forum, said the abuse levelled at people had long-term effects. He said, for the young generation, they have to grow up in that kind of environment where they're belittled. Well, what a surprise. You act badly and then people don't respect you. Who'd have thought? It affects their self-esteem. It affects them at school. My heart is broken. Their self-esteem is wrecked. Tell you what, I'll worry about your self-esteem in that kind of environment, an environment that you and your co-religionists created. I'll worry about that when I've got finished worrying about the self-esteem of the drugged, assaulted little girls and their desperate parents and their schooling that was completely damaged by the lives they were being forced to lead. And the fact that they didn't get respect. I'll tell you about a situation where a 12-year-old didn't get respect from the police because of what was happening to them. You know, blame the victim. And there were literally thousands of them. So I'm afraid that my worry about your self-esteem is going to take a little time. And actually it's still going on, I understand. So we've got a while to go. So now the police, at least in Manchester, are talking tough. A new criminal investigation has been launched. Now, what does it say? A new criminal investigation has been launched to bring sexual abusers of children in Oldham who believe they have gotten away with their crimes to justice, police say. Gotten is an Americanism, by the way, and I don't see why they should be using that, but that's just my opinion. Following the publication of a damning review into allegations of sexual exploitation of vulnerable young people in the borough, Greater Manchester Police have instigated a new police probe named Operation Sherwood. Yeah, it's interesting that they've named it after a place commonly known from the Robin Hood stories, isn't it? It sort of conjures up in the minds of the people that here we have an organisation that protects the weak from the exploiters. Quite frankly, in my opinion, it reminds me more of the Sheriff of Nottingham. And whatever, I'll believe their sincerity when I see it. I haven't seen much up to now. Not one person, police, social worker, anybody in those situations has been brought to account for this. They've all, by now, some of them have retired on their nice pensions and everything, and nobody's saying a word. Now, they mention here a 12-year-old girl who was thrown out of a police station. When she came in to report, she'd been assaulted. Okay, so there's this 12-year-old kid comes into the police, tells them something truly awful has happened to her, and they threw her out. They said she was drunk. I don't know, she might have been drugged, but she was 12 years old, whatever state she was in. They threw her into the street, and guess what happened when she was out there in the street on her own in the dark? Just wild guess. 12 years old and in a building full of well-paid, well-fed and nice and warm officers. And who's been punished for this? Well, let's start the list. No one. Right? You Americans practically dismantled your city centres because one policeman was somehow instrumental in the death of a hopped-up drug addict who was being arrested for committing a crime, and while he was under the influence of at least 3 deadly drugs. And in Manchester, a 12-year-old kid who was assaulted by several men gets thrown into the night streets to be assaulted again by several more. And you should see the riots that nearly dismantled Manchester. Well, actually, you should see them, but you won't because there weren't any. It all dropped into a great pool of silence. And now the police are talking tough. Chief Constable Watson said, "On too many occasions, we, the police, were not there for you when you desperately needed us, and for that I am truly sorry. We have put arrangements in place so that I might meet with Sophie personally, so that I might express my apology to her face to face." Oh, an apology. Well, that's all right then, isn't it? And before I go, I want to remind you, none of this would have come out. because it was squashed not only by the police in Oldham and Rotherham and all the other places, but by Downing Street as well. There's a very famous communication that went from Downing Street when somebody actually, I don't remember who it was, but voiced some sort of disquiet over what was going on and said these girls had made their own choices and they shouldn't be interfered with. And what they meant was that the gangs who were running them shouldn't be interfered with. This was the Labour administration of Gordon Brown. And however nice Gordon Brown comes across now, you know, he's all Mr. Nice Guy, it was under his watch that this could have been stopped and was just allowed to flourish. And it probably wouldn't have got out at all except for one police officer, a woman called Maggie Oliver, who made a fuss and ended up having to leave her job and her pension and her security because she was publicising this, and she was getting all sorts of pressure and denials and even libels from her ex-colleagues. A brave woman, and not even now not given half enough credit for what she did. And the police chief of Manchester's going to apologise to the kid. Isn't that nice? Yeah. I am Granniopteryx. I am to be found on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. I let you know when I've uploaded a video on Twitter, Gab and Parler. My handle there is @Granniopteryx. Please subscribe to that because I can then let you know when I've uploaded a video, which is sometimes not what YouTube does. Nevertheless, will you subscribe to my channel, share my video, and push the like button and contribute to the channel if you can. Right, that's it. Till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Granniopteryx design or Granbo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.granniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.